grab almost any lotion, deep conditioning hair mask, or even like a lip balm in your bathroom right now, and there is a massive chance that one specific African tree nut is hiding in that ingredient
Oh,
list.
yeah, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Right. I mean, we slather it on every single day. The beauty industry basically runs on it.
It does.
But biologically speaking, most of us have absolutely no idea what it's actually doing to our cells. Like, what is this stuff?
Right. It's become entirely invisible to the consumer because it's just so incredibly ubiquitous.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we just accept it as this generalized good thing for hydration
Mm-hmm.
without ever really stopping to question the underlying mechanism. Like, how is this actually interacting with human tissue?
Well, today we are changing that. Our source material today is a really comprehensive guide from Green Thyme Wellness, and it's titled Shea Butter, the essential guide for skin and hair.
Mm-hmm.
And the mission of this deep dive is to basically cut right through the beauty industry's marketing hype.
Yeah, which is so needed.
Exactly. We are going to extract the literal science and the practical applications of this natural fat and figure out how to optimize a self-care routine based on cellular biology, not just, blindly trusting a really pretty label.
Demystifying these everyday ingredients it's just critical for anyone trying to build an effective routine.
Right.
Because when you actually understand the chemistry of a lipid, I mean, you can strategically use that product to manipulate your skin's barrier function
Wow. Okay.
instead of just, guessing and hoping for the best.
Okay, let's unpack this because before we start slathering anything on our bodies, we really need to understand exactly what this substance is at a fundamental, biological level.
Right.
Where is it coming from, and what is its actual chemical makeup?
Well, fundamentally, shea butter is a complex plant-based fat.
Okay.
It's extracted from the nuts of the shea tree, which goes by the scientific name Vetilaria paradoxa.
Velaria paradoxa. Okay.
Yeah, and this tree grows primarily in the dry savanna belt of West and East Africa.
Oh, wow.
And, the butter that's extracted from these nuts, it isn't some new laboratory discovery.
Right. Right.
It has been harvested and treasured for generations by local populations.
Mm.
It's used as a highly effective natural moisturizer and a staple protective ingredient against just really harsh environmental conditions.
So we're dealing with a deeply traditional plant-based fat that has survived the test of time.
Exactly.
But when we look at the actual chemical composition, the Green Thyme Wellness Guide points out that its efficacy isn't magic, right?
No, not at all.
It's naturally packed with a very specific potent profile of fatty acids. We're talking about oleic, stearic, linoleic, and palmitic acids.
Right.
Plus, it has these naturally occurring compounds like vitamin E and other antioxidants.
And those specific fatty acids are doing a massive amount of structural heavy lifting.
How so?
Well, they dictate how the butter behaves in a jar and how it behaves on your skin. So stearic acid, for example, has a specific molecular structure that keeps the butter solid at room temperature.
Oh,
It gives it that firm, almost wax-like density.
right, right.
But then you have oleic acid, which acts as a melting agent.
Ah, which explains why it transforms from a solid block in the container to a liquid the absolute second it touches the warmth of your skin.
Precisely that. That specific ratio of stearic to oleic acid is why it is so uniquely suited for human application.
Wow.
And beyond the fats, you have those antioxidants, which are crucial for cellular defense.
When I look at that dense lipid profile and I think about that thick texture transforming on the skin, the image that comes to mind is almost like a botanical suit of armor.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you aren't just putting a water-based liquid on your body that evaporates in 5 minutes. You're putting on this physical lipid shield that locks your body's resources in and keeps the environmental threats out.
What's fascinating here is that your armor analogy is biologically spot on.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it functions exactly like a two-part defense system.
Oh.
The physical barrier is formed by those heavy fatty acids we talked about. They sit on top of the stratum corneum, which is the outermost layer of your skin.
Okay, the stratum corneum.
Right.
Yeah.
And they actively reduce transepidermal water loss.
Yeah.
But it's not just a passive physical wall, it's also an active chemical shield.
And the chemical shield being the antioxidants, right?
Yes, the antioxidants, particularly the vitamin E, act as a biological defense system against oxidative stress caused by free radicals.
Let's break that down for a second, because free radical is one of those buzzwords that just gets thrown around in skincare marketing constantly.
All the time.
Yeah, we know they're bad, but what is the actual mechanism there? What is a free radical doing?
Okay, so a free radical is essentially an unstable molecule that is missing an electron.
Missing an electron, okay.
Right. And because it's unstable, It aggressively seeks out other molecules to steal an electron from.
Oh, wow. So it's just out there hunting.
Exactly. When those free radicals, which are generated by things like UV exposure and pollution, when they encounter your healthy skin cells, they steal electrons.
Yikes.
Yeah, and this causes molecular damage that leads to premature aging and cellular degradation.
And the antioxidants in the shea butter step in to take the hit.
They are the ultimate biological philanthropists.
Oh, I love that.
Right. An antioxidant like vitamin E can safely donate an electron to that unstable free radical without becoming unstable itself.
That's amazing.
It neutralizes the threat before the free radical can damage your actual skin cells.
That is incredible. So it really is a botanical suit of armor. You have the physical lipid barrier stopping hydration from escaping, and the chemical antioxidant barrier neutralizing the electron stealers.
That's a perfect summary, yeah.
But if we take this understanding of an active and passive shield, how does that translate to the actual architecture of the epidermis? Because obviously we're told constantly to moisturize, but what is the shea butter specifically doing to the microscopic landscape of dry skin?
Think of your skin's outermost layer like a brick wall.
Okay, a brick wall.
The skin cells, the corneocytes, are the bricks.
Got it.
And the natural lipids your body produces are the mortar holding those bricks together. Healthy skin requires an intact, tightly sealed wall to retain hydration and defend against irritants.
But when our skin gets excessively dry, that mortar starts to crumble.
And that's exactly when the skin barrier becomes compromised.
Right.
It feels tight, it gets rough, and microscopic cracks literally start to form. Shea butter is a highly effective emollient, so when you apply it, those fatty acids, the linoleic and palmitic acids, they essentially step in to spackle the wall.
Oh, wow.
They fill in the microscopic gaps between the skin cells.
Which is why the Green Thyme Wellness Guide notes that it is so incredibly useful for those famously dry areas we all struggle with, right? Like the hands, feet, heels, elbows, knees, cuticles.
Absolutely. Those areas are prone to a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, it's deeply moisturizing, but the key distinction here is that it isn't adding water to your skin. Like, it's not a glass of water.
Right. No.
It's repairing the mortar so the water your body already has doesn't evaporate into the air.
Exactly. It's preventing that transepidermal water loss.
Yeah.
By filling in those gaps, the emollient properties make that tight, dry skin instantly feel softer, smoother, and much more flexible.
You know, the text actually has a very specific practical tip for dealing with cracked heels that utilizes this exact mechanism.
Oh, the sock trick.
Yes, the sock trick. It says to apply a generous layer of shea butter to your feet before bedtime and then immediately put on a pair of cotton socks to wear overnight.
It's a highly effective technique. It's known in dermatology as occlusion.
Occlusion, okay.
Yeah. So you're applying the thick lipid layer to slightly damp skin, and then the cotton sock acts as a physical trap.
Okay.
It creates a microenvironment, basically a tiny greenhouse, that warms the skin, increasing the penetration of the fatty acids.
And it keeps my sheets from getting greasy.
Exactly, while simultaneously preventing the butter from rubbing off on your sheets. You're forcing the lipids into those microcracks for 8 hours straight.
That's brilliant. It also mentions that shea butter calms minor skin irritation because those natural compounds have soothing and anti-inflammatory properties.
You do, yeah.
And it points out that you can even use a tiny amount of pure cosmetic-grade shea butter directly on the lips as a protective balm.
Which is a great alternative to petroleum-based products.
For sure. But keeping this whole brick wall analogy in mind, I want to push back on something here.
Oh, please do.
If this stuff functions as a literal suit of armor, right, and it's so densely packed with antioxidants that it neutralizes environmental threats, can I just slather this on instead of sunscreen? Like, if it blocks the free radicals caused by the sun, is this my new all-natural beach day protection?
Oh, wow. Okay, that is a very dangerous misconception.
Okay.
And the source text is highly explicit about establishing these safety parameters. While shea butter does offer robust antioxidant support to neutralize some free radical damage,
Right.
it is absolutely not a replacement for sunscreen or other evidence-based UV protection.
So it can't deflect the actual UV radiation?
Not effectively, no. Sunscreens use specific organic or inorganic filters to physically scatter or chemically absorb UV photons before they penetrate the epidermis.
Oh, I see.
Right. Shea butter does not have the molecular density or the structure to block UV rays in that manner. You will burn, and you will sustain DNA damage. You still need your dedicated SPF.
So the armor is good against moisture loss and oxidative stress, but it's completely invisible to a UV photon. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Huh.
Furthermore, while we're on the topic of its medical limitations, the guide heavily emphasizes that shea butter is a cosmetic moisturizer, not a pharmaceutical treatment.
Right.
So if you're experiencing persistent itching, severe redness, scaling, or intense inflammation, you cannot just spackle over it with shea butter.
Because it's not a cure.
Right. Those are symptoms of underlying conditions like eczema, psoriasis, or fungal infections.
Wow.
And those require evaluation and targeted treatment by a healthcare professional.
That's a really crucial distinction. It's a tool for maintenance, not a medication. Okay, so we've established how this fat acts as a biological sealant over living skin cells to trap hydration and fill in the cellular mortar. But what happens when we apply that exact same physics to dead keratin? Like, does the armor work the same way on hair strands?
Well, the physics of moisture retention translate beautifully, even though the biological structure is quite different.
Okay.
With hair, we aren't dealing with a brick wall, we are dealing with porosity. The outer layer of a hair strand, the cuticle, looks essentially like overlapping roof shingles.
Oh, I can picture that. And when hair is dry or damaged, those shingles are lifted up, allowing the internal moisture of the hair shaft to escape.
Exactly. And just like with the skin, shea butter acts as a powerful sealant. The fatty acids coat the hair shaft and physically smooth those lifted cuticles flat.
Which means the shea butter itself isn't necessarily hydrating the hair, right? Like, it doesn't contain water.
This is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of botanical oils and butters. They are not hydrators, they are sealants.
Sealants, okay.
The guide suggests a very specific layered method for optimal results. You must apply a small amount of shea butter after using a water-based leave-in conditioner.
Ah, so the water-based product penetrates the hair shaft to provide the actual hydration, and the shea butter acts as the heavy lid, locking the roof shingles down and sealing the hydration inside.
Yes, you've got it.
You know, my analogy brain is firing again. It's exactly like when you paint your nails.
Oh, okay, how so?
Well, the color polish goes on first, but then you put that clear top coat over the wet nail. The top coat doesn't provide the color, but it locks it in, protects it from chipping, and gives it that incredibly polished, reflective finish.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. It's acting exactly like a clear lipid top coat.
Yeah.
By coating the strands and smoothing the cuticle flat, it drastically tames the appearance of frizz. And because those cuticles are now lying flat, they reflect light much more efficiently, which is what gives the hair that significant, healthy-looking shine.
The text notes this mechanism is highly beneficial for curly, coily, textured, or extremely dry hair, which makes total sense because the natural sebum produced by the scalp has a very difficult time traveling down the twists and turns of a corkscrew curl pattern.
Yes. For those high porosity or highly textured hair types, these emollient properties are an absolute game changer. It artificially provides the protective lipid coating that the scalp struggles to distribute.
Right.
However, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to talk about the physical weight of those lipids.
Right, because stearic and oleic acids are heavy. Like we said earlier, they're dense.
Very heavy. Because it is such a rich, dense fat, the source specifically notes that using too much can completely backfire.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, if you heavily coat the hair, it will be weighed down, it'll look limp and overtly greasy. This is especially problematic if you have fine hair, where the diameter of the individual strands is small.
Right, it would just crush it.
The lidded weight will instantly collapse the hair's natural volume.
So moderation is key. You don't need gobs of it. The text recommends just warming a very small amount between your palms until it melts into an oil, and then smoothing it delicately over damp hair.
Yes, a little goes a very long way.
It also mentions massaging a small quantity into a dry-feeling scalp as a pre-wash treatment, letting it sit to soften any flakiness before shampooing.
And we should also address how it interacts with split ends, because the text brings this up directly.
Okay, yeah.
The ends of your hair are the oldest, most weathered, and most fragile portion of the strand.
Right, they've been through a lot.
They have been exposed to the most friction, heat, and environmental stress over years.
So applying shea butter to those ends reduces that rough, straw-like feeling.
It does, and it provides vital protective conditioning. It acts as a temporary cosmetic glue, holding the frayed ends together to improve their appearance and minimize further tangling.
But the text makes sure to clarify a hard truth here. This does not permanently repair a split end.
No, it absolutely does not.
Once the structural bonds of the hair are broken and the strand splits, it is split. The botanical armor can mask the damage, but you need a pair of scissors for a permanent structural fix.
Exactly. It's entirely cosmetic management, not structural resurrection.
Okay, so now that we thoroughly understand the biological mechanisms, right? Like how the fatty acids physically seal cuticles and fill epidermal cracks, and how the antioxidants neutralize free radicals,
Hmm.
how do we practically implement this? Because if I'm standing in the beauty aisle staring at a massive shelf of tubs, what exactly am I looking for?
Well, the first major divergence in the market you're going to encounter is the choice between unrefined and refined shea butter.
Wait, if unrefined retains all those natural antioxidant compounds we just spent so much time talking about, why would anyone purposefully buy the refined version?
It's a fair question.
Aren't you just actively stripping out the very chemical defense system we want?
It is a valid question,
Yeah.
and from a purely biological standpoint, unrefined is richer in those unsaponifiable compounds and antioxidants. It's in its most natural state, which means it carries a very distinct, earthy, somewhat smoky scent and has a yellowish or ivory color.
Ah, okay.
But refined shea butter exists primarily for sensory and formulation reasons.
Meaning the natural smell is just too overpowering for a lot of people.
Exactly. The refining process, which often involves filtering the butter through clays or utilizing heat processing, removes that strong aroma and the natural color.
Got it.
It results in a white, odorless fat. The guide points out that while some antioxidants are lost, the core fatty acids,
The stearic and oleic acid.
right, the ones that create the physical moisture barrier, they remain largely intact. So both are very useful moisturizers. Your choice really just depends on your sensory tolerance,
Mm.
whether you want the maximum antioxidant profile or a clean, neutral base.
Just ensure that whichever you choose, it's intended specifically for cosmetic use and has minimal unnecessary chemical additives. You want the pure lipid. Now, speaking of a clean base, the Green Time Wellness Guide actually includes a recipe for a simple shea butter body butter, which I absolutely love.
It's a great recipe.
It is, because it takes this dense store-bought block and uses physics to turn it into a high-end luxury product right in your kitchen.
It is a very clever process. It relies on altering the physical state of the fat to dramatically improve its spreadability.
I'll walk through the raw ingredients really quick. It calls for half a cup of pure shea butter, 2 tablespoons of a liquid carrier oil, they suggest coconut or jojoba oil, and an optional few drops of vitamin E oil for extra antioxidant power.
And the method essentially utilizes thermodynamics and aeration.
Right. You start by gently melting the shea butter using a double boiler method. You want
Okay.
slow, even heat so you don't degrade the compound.
Exactly. No microwaving.
Right. Once it's fully melted into a liquid, you take it off the heat and stir in your chosen liquid oil, like the jojoba, which is brilliant because jojoba actually mimics human sebum.
Very closely, yes. Then you must allow the mixture to cool. But you don't let it harden completely back into a solid block.
Okay.
You wait until it just begins to turn opaque and thicken up around the edges of the bowl.
And then you whip it. You take a hand mixer and whip the cooling fats until the mixture gets incredibly light and creamy, almost like a cake frosting. You store it in a clean, airtight container, and you apply that aerated butter to damp skin.
The whipping process is mechanically crucial here.
Really, just the air.
Yes. By aggressively introducing air into the cooling fat, you disrupt the crystalline structure of the stearic acid. You change that solid, heavy density into a matrix of tiny air pockets.
Wow.
It completely transforms the user experience without altering the beneficial chemistry.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If I am going through all the trouble of making this DIY body butter at home, and let's say I have sensitive skin, shouldn't I add a bunch of natural essential oils to this mixture? Make it smell like eucalyptus or lavender so I get that full high-end spa experience?
I'm so glad you asked that because the source text explicitly corrects this deeply ingrained consumer impulse.
Oh, really?
If you have sensitive skin or an already compromised skin barrier, you must do the exact opposite. You need to keep the recipe rigorously simple and actively avoid adding fragrances or essential oils.
Really? But everyone assumes that because essential oils are natural, they are automatically safe and soothing.
Natural does not mean irritation-free.
That's a good point.
Poison ivy is natural.
Fair enough.
Essential oils are highly concentrated, volatile aromatic compounds. When you apply volatile compounds to a skin barrier that is already dry, cracked, or compromised, they act as primary culprits for severe contact dermatitis and allergic reactions.
Yikes.
The text is very firm on this. Skip the fragrances entirely if your skin is sensitive.
That is such a good reality check. We get so caught up in the sensory, olfactory experience of a spa day that we completely forget our skin might just want the boring, unscented, hyperfunctional lipid barrier.
Function over fragrance, every time. The guide also emphasizes a few final, vital safety protocols for anyone using or formulating these products. Before you begin applying shea butter extensively, you must always perform a small patch test on a discrete area of skin.
Just to verify, you don't have a specific localized allergy to the shea nut itself?
Precisely.
Yeah.
While rare, it is a tree nut, and you should avoid it entirely if you have a known reaction. And regarding that whipped homemade body butter, you must be meticulous about keeping the final product clean and dry.
Because there aren't any preservatives in it.
Exactly. Because you are not formulating with commercial, broad-spectrum preservatives. Introducing tap water or dirty fingers into the jar drastically increases the risk of bacterial and fungal contamination.
So use a dedicated, clean scoop to get it out, and absolutely do not let shower water splash into the jar. Treat it with the same hygiene standards as food in your kitchen.
Exactly.
Well, I think we have successfully accomplished our mission. We've taken shea butter from a ubiquitous, invisible buzzword and decoded the actual cellular science behind it.
We really did it.
We understand how its heavy fatty acids physically seal the overlapping shingles of a hair cuticle, and how they spackle the microcracks in our epidermal duct wall to stop transepidermal water loss.
Right.
We explored the chemical defense system of its antioxidants, neutralizing electron-stealing free radicals, and we even covered the thermal dynamics of whipping it into a luxurious, aerated body butter.
It really highlights how understanding the foundational biological mechanisms of an ingredient completely shifts how you leverage it in your daily routine.
Yeah, totally.
But as we wrap up this analysis, there is a fascinating secondary implication from the text that I think is really worth dwelling on.
Oh, what is that?
Well, the guide establishes that the source of this butter, the Vitellaria paradoxa tree, is almost exclusively wild harvested in the specific climate of the African savanna. It is not easily cultivated in controlled agricultural plantations,
Oh, I see.
which raises a critical forward-looking question about environmental stability.
Because the chemical profile we rely on is dictated by that specific wild environment.
Exactly. The specific perfect ratio of stearic to oleic acid, the exact balance that allows it to remain solid in the jar but melt seamlessly on human skin, is an evolutionary response by the tree to its specific local climate.
Wow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of shifting global temperatures and changing rainfall patterns in that region, we have to wonder how the biology of the shea nut will adapt.
Wow. So if the savanna gets significantly hotter or drier, the tree might naturally alter its lipid production to survive, like producing more dense stearic acid or less oleic acid.
Which would fundamentally change the melting point, the texture, and the biological efficacy of the botanical armor the entire global beauty industry relies on.
That's wild.
It makes you realize how inextricably linked our modern bathroom cabinets are to the delicate ecological balance of a wild, hyperlocal environment halfway across the globe.
That is an incredibly profound thought to leave on. It completely reframes how we look at a simple plastic jar of moisturizer. Whoa. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.
The next time you find yourself wandering down that beauty aisle, staring at a massive wall of lotions and leave-in conditioners, you won't just be looking at clever marketing buzzwords. You'll know exactly the chemistry, the physics, and the environmental origins of the botanical armor you're bringing home. We'll catch you on the next one.